Hello students, welcome to third session of auditing classes. Before moving further, let us have a small recap of our previous class. In the previous class, we have started with the objectives of auditing. So we have completed the primary objective, that is to give an opinion on the financial statements regarding the truthfulness of the financial statements, and the second one, secondary objective. So in this we have completed the first category, that is detection and prevention of errors. So in case of errors, there are four categories of errors: clerical error, errors of principle, compensating errors, and errors of duplication. In clerical error we have two categories: errors of omission and errors of commission. So let's start with the second category of secondary objectives of auditing, that is the detection and prevention of frauds. So here before that, so you have given a small assignment in the previous class, that is to write an example for each category of errors. So hope you did, and let us discuss regarding your assignments little later. So I'll move further with the detection and prevention of frauds. Before that, let us look into one scam, that is Satyam scam in 2008. So let us see the position in 2008. So Satyam Computers is a software companies, more than 1,300 crores revenues shown in their financial statement, and it was one of the top 5 IT companies and won many awards in 2008. The chairman was Ramalingaraju, and the market price was raised to rupees 544 rupees. Chairman's holding in 2008 was 25%. More than 50,000 employees and 60 countries there were the business. So it is a very reputed position of Satyam Computers in 2008. But all of a sudden, the scam was detected in 2009. So for this huge position, so now to acquire this huge position in 2008, Chairman did a lot of efforts. And let us see his efforts in detail. So Chairman wanted to show high profit. For this, he did lot of things. So this profit is not the actual profit. Instead, he shown it as his company's profit. Started Mehta's a retail estate company. So retail business company started by the chairman of Satyam Computers, Ramalinga Raju. That is Mehta's. So and for this Mehta's company, he wanted fund. So this fund is taken from Satyam company. He taken the funds from Satyam company and he diverted it to the company of Mehta's without disclosing it to the owners. For taking fund, he showed wrong profits in Satyam company and increased the share price to rupees 544. To increase the share price, he shown wrong profit, hiked profit, what is not the real one. So as a result, so as he shown higher profits in the company, as a result, the market share price of the Satyam computers also increased. Originally, he owned 25% shares in the company in 2008. So after rising prices of Satyam computers, he sold the price of Satyam computers gradually so that he booked a huge amount of profits from the shares of computers. He sold his shares gradually and invested in Mehta. So what he got from the shares of Satyam and invested in Mehta's. So 25% shares in 2008 was reduced to just 2% in 2009. The entire amount shifted to Mehta. So as a result, the share price in the market goes down to 11.5 rupees. Assume that you have invested 544 rupees in 2008 and you got just 11.5 rupees in 2000. A huge fall in the market share as well. And the investors has to bear this. And again, in order to show this hiked prices, hiked profits, so he created fake 7,500 bits and fake salary account and withdraws them. So finally, it was inevitable for him to confess behind the public that 7,000 crores crime. The question is, while these things are going on, isn't it any auditors in Satyam Computer? Because it is the duty of auditor to check the books of accounts and to give independent and qualified opinion regarding the truthfulness of financial statements of the business. So if auditor is there in the company, he should check and he should find the faults or he should detect and prevent the frauds. Isn't it the auditors there in Satyam Computers? Satyam Computers was audited by UK-based firm PwC, is Price Waterhouse Coopers. Even then, this scam occurred or took place. So that indicates either they failed to identify or involved in this scam. Of course, they also got the punishment of 2 years ban from auditing public companies in India. But the thing is, you should remember it is the role or duty of the auditor to detect and prevent the frauds. So, in objective, we finished the first part, detection prevention of errors. The second part is detection and prevention of frauds that we need to continue. So, secondary objectives, detection and prevention of frauds. Of course, we know the meaning of detection and prevention. Detection is finding things after the incident, and prevention is finding the things even before the incident. When something is done with an intention to deceive, mislead, or to hide the truth, a fraud is said to have been committed. We know that mistake without an intention to deceive, mislead, or to hide the truth is considered as error. But if a mistake is intentional to deceive someone or to mislead someone or to cheat someone, then that kind of mistakes or errors are considered as frauds. It is deliberately committed to defraud the owners of business. It is deliberately, that means it's intentional, committed fraud. It is difficult to rectify the fraud rather than an error. An error is unintentional so that we can easily identify the errors. But in case of frauds, it's intentional so that the members of the company will create all the supporting documents to their fraud. So it is difficult to find out or to rectify the frauds. Let us see the types of frauds. There are four categories: embezzlement of cash, misappropriation of goods, manipulation of goods, and window dressing. So the first one, embezzlement of cash. So embezzlement means misappropriation. So here misappropriation of cash by the cashier or any employees in the business. So cash is a precious thing because everyone interested in it. So if the employees of organization, if they stolen some cash, then we can consider as embezzlement of cash. The risk is higher when the cashier is not cross-checked by another. If we put all the responsibilities to cashier only, so then there will be higher risk of these kind of frauds because no one is going to check him means he can easily do some frauds. So you can see the examples. So there might be some theft from the cashier or any employees of the company, or altering figures. So altering figures in receipt book, like instead of 1,000 he can record 100, or instead of 5,000 he can record it as 500. So like that he can make changes in the amount in receipt book, check, or any negotiable instrument, or false payment or overpayment of cash. So false purchase of stationery that he can write. So even though there is no purchase, he can write false purchase, purchase of some stationeries. Otherwise, he can make some false payment or overpayment of cash. Instead of 500 payment, that he can record 5,000 rupees paid. So like that. So these are all the examples of embezzlement of cash or misappropriation of cash. So how can an auditor can check this? So thorough checking of all transactions related to cash transaction. We should be very careful recording cash transactions. And the second one, misappropriation of goods. Instead of cash, here we are going to consider. So in a large business organization, there is a high scope for misappropriation of goods. Because a smaller uh, value of goods, if he is stolen, if any employee is stolen, so no one will recognize those things. So there is a huge scope for misappropriation of goods in the large business or large stores. So here, instead of cash, goods were stolen by the employees. It is easy to misappropriate the goods of high value and lesser value. For example, if you consider the goods like a biscuit pack, no one will consider or no one will take the employees to MD stating that he misappropriated the goods. But the thing is, assume that 10 grams of gold. So in that situation, gold is a precious metal that is of high value and less weight. Even a 1 gram stone will create a lot of differences. Misappropriation of uh, even a small pinch of gold will create a lot of difference. So it is easy to misappropriate such kind of goods by the employee. Goods may be removed by the employees for their personal purpose. Sale returns may be misappropriated, or purchases may be misappropriated. But the thing, what an auditor can do, like in these situations. So here he can advise the company to maintain proper stock books, and uh, proper stock book can avoid all these kind of disturbances. So stock book, where we are going to record all the inputs to company and all the outputs or outgoing, so that we can avoid these kind of misappropriation of goods. And third one, manipulation of accounts. So here manipulation means adjusting books of accounts to show higher or less profit. So you should recognize. So there are two objectives for the adjusting entries. We are going to adjust the entries in the books of accounts with the two intention. One is to show higher profit and the another one to show lesser profit. Both are advantages to company. So showing higher profit is also beneficial, showing lesser profit also beneficial, but depending upon the situation. So these kind of frauds can be committed only by the higher level officials like directors, managers, or the owners of the company. So in case of errors, so most of the errors are committed by the lower level employees. But these frauds or manipulation of accounts are committed by the higher level of employees in our company. The objective of such fraud is to deceive the competitor. Showing higher profit, they can cheat the competitor. Showing lower profits, they can cheat the competitor. Or to get exemption from the tax. Showing lesser profits in order to reduce the tax payable. Or increase the share price in the market. Showing higher profits to increase the price in the share market. With these objectives, they are going to manipulate the books of accounts to charging lower or lesser depreciation. If they charge lesser amount of depreciation, automatically their profit will increase. If their profit increases, then the market price of the shares also goes on increase. And second one, treating revenue item as capital item. So if they have considered a revenue item as capital item, for example, a purchase of some goods, if they have considered these goods as capital item means, so purchase of goods 2 crore rupees will be spread over to next 10 years. So for that reason, so they can reduce the expenses. If they have reduced the expenses means their profit shows the higher amount. So if these kind of techniques, so they can make changes to show higher profit or lesser profit. And the last one, window dressing. Is it the category of decorating window that we are talking about? No. So we are talking about dressing or doing some makeup to financial statements to show a higher or better positions. A way of presenting financial data in a much better position than the original one. We are hiding our original face and we are showing something different. Something different means in some better way. So we are showing this financial statement in some better way. It's a more misrepresentation than a fraud. So we cannot call it completely fraud. It is just misrepresentation. For example, if you consider outstanding payment. So what we'll do for outstanding payments? So outstanding payment, for example, I have to make payment of 2 crore rupees and this 2 crore rupees payment is related to the year 2019-20. But I'll not make payment in the month of March. I will hold on this payment and I'll make it in the next accounting year. That means I'll make the payment in April. So what will happen, even though it is related to the year 2019-20, I hold on the payment and made the payment in April. So I cannot show this 2 crore rupees expenses either in the financial statements or in the balance sheet so that I can show a better position in the financial statement. I postpone the payment, outstanding expenses are not shown in my financial statements. And the reason behind these kind of window dressing is to win the confidence of shareholders. If I show better financial position means of course the shareholders will have confidence in me. To obtain further credit from the banks. I want to apply for a new loan in the banks and these banks will grant the loan based on the financial statement so that I can get a new loan to attract the prospective shareholders. I can attract the new shareholders to my company to increase the market price of shares, obviously. Based on our financial statements, our market price of the shares will also goes rise. So with these objectives, the insiders of the company will do window dressing. So hope you remember the primary objective and the secondary objective. And we'll move on to third one, specific objective. Before that, let us see the tips for the auditor regarding frauds prevention. The first one, careful verification. Of course, he should be very careful at any point of time. Advise the management to adopt internal check system. So you should remember this terms, internal check system, because internal check system that we are going to learn in detail in the upcoming classes, but it's a system wherein which the work of one employee is cross-checked by another employee. So this is same procedure for all the employees in the company. So for that reason, every employee's work is checked by another person, so that uh, there will be a least scope for either errors or frauds. So auditor can advise the management to adopt these kind of techniques in the management, and increasing the morality of or ethics of employees is the highest order advice that he can give to the company, because it matters a lot rather than forcing the employee. So we have completed primary and secondary objectives, and let us see the third one, specific objective. So here specific means specified goals. So, other than the primary and the secondary, we have some other set of objectives in auditing. In these objectives represents specified or specific or confined to the category of auditing that we are going to conduct. For example, in case of cost audit, the specific objective will be like cost of production calculation, units of production, or stock taking, cost sheet, like that. So, the auditor's objective or auditor's focus will be on all these aspects. And if you consider management audit, so his objective will be on organization structure, or how to increase the performance of the management, or evaluation of employees. So these things will be done by the auditor. And in case of property audit, the specific objective will be focused on contracts or documents in association with getting contract, or documents in association with some bidding process. So auditor is going to focus on all these aspects. Then social audit. It's very much far from financial audit. So primary and secondary objectives completely focused on financial aspects, but specific objectives are different in each category of auditing. So in case of social audit, so his focus will be on natural environment. So if a company is situated in a particular society, means the company has received some benefits from the society, and for this company has to make payment of some benefits to the society in which it is situated. So here we are going to prepare a social balance sheet wherein which we completely ignore the financial aspect, and we are going to assess the social benefits to the society and to the company. So like that, the objective will differ based on the category of auditing or type of auditing that we are going to conduct. So these types are considered as specific objects. Hope you understood the objectives of auditing. The major category are primary, secondary, and specific audit. Before winding class, here's a small assignment to you. Collect at least one scam story and write the auditor's role in it. So how auditor is responsible for these scams. So just collect at least one story and I'll listen to your story a little later. Thank you. Take care and happy life.